What's happening, my Jack family? Coach Scott here, jackedafter40.com and shreddedafter40.com. Welcome to another episode of the Jacked After 40 podcast. I'm joined once again today by my coaching client, Aaron Sanchez. He is now beginning his final week of the cutting phase leading up to a beach vacation. He is going to be getting crazy shredded here. We're going to go over some of the changes he's made to his diet this week, how it's impacted his energy, overall well-being, helping him get through this week. I'm going to be sharing insights into my training and nutrition from this past week, my experiences. And we're also just going to have some great conversations talking about identity, how we identify ourselves as we're talking about, like, in terms of diets and taking on stress and all different kinds of stuff. So great conversation there, as well as focusing on the process and being in the moment. Like, a lot of what coaching is to me is so much more than just the diet and the training. It really is lifestyle. It's really about living our lives to the fullest. It's really about becoming the best versions of ourselves and growing in all aspects of our lives. I have some great relationships with my coaching clients, and you're getting a taste of it here. I'm going to be making sure that I get some more of my coaching clients on more of these podcasts coming up. Right now, let's get into the conversation. All right, Aaron, my man, we are going to be diving into some insights into your cutting phase. A week from tomorrow, you are heading away on vacation. So we're going to get your thoughts and feedback on how this past week's been going. I'm going to share some insights from my training, my experiences this past week. But first, I want to start off talking about something that we were discussing earlier this morning. You sent me a video talking about being like an outside observer of yourself. And it really kind of resonated with me, and talking a lot about identity and what we oftentimes can find ourselves identifying ourselves as or identifying with. So expand a little bit more on that and what your experience was like this morning. What got you waking up out of bed, kind of thinking with this perspective for the day?
Yeah, so I find that when I'm most anxious or I feel an emotion, kind of most strong, most at the surface, I like to say, is to still, God, now I can't even remember his name, podcast, Sam Harris. I'm the person behind my eyes, meaning like I'm only seeing from one perspective. And so I'm feeling all of what I'm feeling, like very, very intensely. And, I woke up, I slept later than I've been sleeping, but it's still pretty early. Like, I think it was like 4:30. And so obviously I try not to wake my family before. So normally what I'll do is I'll throw on a podcast, do a meditation, kind of do something that's quiet. And threw on this or not even a meditation. It's a podcast. This guy I listen to, he's out of Spain. And he was talking about identifying with what we're feeling. And a lot of the times it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I feel stressed, therefore my day is stressful. I feel hungry, or I feel like I'm hungry, therefore I'm thinking about food all day. And you can it runs the gamut with emotions. And I really stopped to think, and it's a Stoic principle, or practice, I should say, that acting as the observer, stepping outside of yourself and then sitting with those emotions, observing them rather than letting them become a part of you. Because we all feel those things, right? We all have stresses in our life. We all like, it's the concept of, like, life is not happening specifically to you. It's not out to get you. It's not making you hungry, or it's not making you more stressed. It's just happening. And so by coming outside of yourself, living outside of those things, you're better able to, like, deal with whatever it is that is going on in the moment. Because for me, it removes a couple of removals from the like intense feeling of whatever it is that's happening in the moment. And it's just kind of like something, I mean, the practice, I'm observing it. I'm not having to like live through it. I mean, I am, but I'm not at the same time.
Right. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And it just hearing you talking about all that stuff this morning, it just, I see so many people in our industry as well. We got so many different practice. We got so many different dogmas out there, especially when it comes to nutrition or styles of training, whether it's like, you get the CrossFit people, they kind of identify themselves. I'm a CrossFitter, or they got people who do intermittent fasting. And I'm an intermittent faster. And, no, it really blows my mind to see how many people identify themselves as like a diet. You're not the diet. You may eat at a
Just
certain
those
time frame, but
things.
you're not the diet. And it's amazing how it can influence your future actions too. Like if you are an intermittent faster, that's how you identify as, and you're out with people, and like most of the time they're used to seeing you don't start eating till 2:00 in the afternoon, and you break free of that. They're like, well, what's wrong? Like, are you no longer an intermittent faster? No, I'm who I am. Like, you just kind of get married to that specific regimen and routine. And yeah, you're taking on, something that's
Well,
not
it
really
becomes
you.
part of your identity. It literally becomes who you are. And I'll share a quick story. We had the opportunity to spend 3 months in Europe, traveling around Europe. Was 2012, and it's something I think back to often. I was very hardcore into intermittent fasting, and so I followed Martin Berkhan's lean gains protocol to a T. And there was high fat day, low carb days, high carb days, low fat days. I would cycle on and off. I wouldn't eat. Like, I would literally wait the 2 or 3 minutes, like it was going to make a difference if I ate at 11:57 versus noon.
Right.
But I would not eat till noon. And I really regret the like being so dogmatic and wrapped up in it, because I missed out on some experiences there, because it would be a high fat day, low carb, and I couldn't eat a pastry, or I'd have to wait. And it's like, well, yes, we're taking this excursion on this day and we're not going back tomorrow. What am I to do?
Right.
And so I still, now it's something I think back on, that I'm very, very cautious about labeling those things. And that's essentially what the podcast was this morning. It was a mini reflection into, instead of letting yourself get to the point of identifying with what you're feeling very acutely for a minute or 5 minutes or hell, an hour, and letting that thing, instead of letting that like become a part of your being, you separate from it. You don't push it down, but you become the observer of it. So therefore you're better able to deal with whatever it is in that moment until it passes, or to just get a better game plan and how to navigate around it.
Right. I think this all ties in. I got Chief, who is like full of energy right now. He's like been quiet for the past little bit, and now he's demanding my attention during this podcast here. So I'm going to be playing fetch with him as we record. But yeah, it ties into a lot of what we talk about in regards to just recently, like waking up with an attitude. Like I like to wake up, like an attitude and a belief that I adopted years ago was that I'm unstoppable. If I wake up with that attitude, like nothing's going to get in my way, I'm going to achieve, like, no matter what obstacle comes my way, I'm going to be able to find a way to
Mhm.
get around it, over it, under it, through it, whatever I need to do to embrace that challenge. So that was an attitude that I wake up with. But there's just so many. I just try to wake up happy, positive, go lucky, and just ready to take on the day. But it also ties into things that you and I are always talking about, just being very grounded in the moment each and every day, just making the most out of, giving the best of ourselves to each and every moment throughout the day. And I think that's a great instance of that. Like, you can't have that kind of, be that outside observer if you're not present in the moment right now, kind of being aware of what's going on and experiencing those feelings and emotions and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And it is about just, it's being in the here and now, because oftentimes, I mean, I know I'm guilty of it. As much as I try to just be invested in what it is that I'm doing, um, it's like we're looking to the next meal, or we're looking to the next workout, or to the next vacation, or the next whatever, while we're doing the thing that we're looking to in the future. And like, when you think about it that way, it doesn't really make much sense, but I think we're all kind of guilty of it. And it's really, for me, what has worked is really stopping and slowing down,
Mm.
not trying to just live on autopilot. And I know that at times that's necessary, because who wants to wash the dishes? I mean, some people, but I also try to my perspective there and try to by putting my full attention and doing what I'm doing, even something like washing the dishes can be beneficial. It can be peaceful and relaxing, listening to the water, the routine of it, just the kind of like the monotony, but the monotony in a good kind of way. You establish a rhythm, being in the moment, and your thoughts are free to just do what they want. And
Right.
so again, it is just by observing, you're just bringing the focus back to what you're doing, but it's kind of without the stress, as if it was happening to somebody else.
Right. That all, again, reflecting on, we have a lot of conversations throughout the week, and one of the messages that you sent out earlier a few days ago was like, it's very easy, and something we talked about a couple of weeks ago as well, is again, giving your best to yourself isn't, you don't have to wait for it to be the perfect opportunity and you're feeling your best and all that. And you can give the best of yourself no matter what you're doing, when you're feeling challenged, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling exhausted. And you also mentioned just the other day that giving the best of myself to those tasks that I may not enjoy so much. Like, all right, you don't enjoy it, and yeah, like say you don't enjoy washing the dishes, you'd be, oh god, I gotta do the dishes again. And right there, that affects your attitude, how you're
Yeah,
feeling, the energy that you're putting out there. But if you're like, I gotta do the dishes, I'm gonna do the dishes the best I freaking can right now and just make the
yeah,
most out of this experience. Feel the water on my hands, whatever the heck it is. Like, be a really, give the best of yourself to those moments. It really does change. You find, because I had to do a tedious task that I didn't necessarily enjoy with my business. That day that I got that message, I'm like, fuck, it totally changed my outlook. It changed my experience with that. I got it done better, faster, and felt a greater sense of accomplishment. And I did enjoy it a little bit more than I normally had in the past.
yeah. I mean, it makes so much sense, and we oftentimes don't think that way. I don't know that we're wired that way, or I don't know if it's something that's like why it's changed. Again, I can only speak for myself here, but it's just like, when looking to the future, if we always think the future is going to be different, or it's going to be free of distraction or stress, it's like, but if we choose to just find whatever good we can with where we are right now, it doesn't matter so much. So like, I'm thinking right now about the cut, like my cut that I'm doing. I'm very close to the end, but then what happens if in a week I wake up and I'm bloated and I look terrible? Like, what do I continue? Do I continue pushing? Am I just so unhappy with all of the progress I've made thus far and it negates the entire thing? No, like rationally, as an outsider, if I'm like telling a buddy, like, no, dude, I mean, you've crushed it over the past 3.5 months and you've got to look at X, Y, and Z. Like, that's just one day. It's one snapshot, one moment in time. But if I just focus on here and now and doing my thing day to day, what happens in a week doesn't matter. It truly doesn't, because I'm
Exactly.
choosing to find the peace and the happiness and the lessons today rather than wait for a specific outcome that may or may not happen for whatever reason.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a lot about what we've been talking about as well. Just like it sounds so cliche, like that happiness is the journey, not the outcome there. But
Yeah.
it truly is. And it's a big reason why for my clients, yourself, the Jacked After 40 Club members, everyone, I'm always telling them to and you to like find those mini victories to celebrate each and every day. You can be happy every freaking day. Like there's so many things we do throughout the day that check, check, check. You're like, I'm kicking ass. Like you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till you achieve your goal or you hit that deadline to
No.
finally be happy. You need to find the love in the process more than anything. And I think the people, for those of us who are living this Jacked After 40 lifestyle, our lifestyles aren't really all that different throughout the year, whether we're cutting, maintaining, or trying to build. It's our nutrition component that has the change, where we're eating less or we're eating more, but we're still getting out for our walks. We're still hitting our workouts every day. We're still doing all the things that we normally do. So our life doesn't really change all that much other than how much we're eating. Even the foods we eat are pretty much the same for the most part. So, so we enjoy it. Like we just finding that joy each and every day and finding those reasons to feel victorious every single day, empowered each and every day, I think is absolutely crucial.
But even with the routine, again, if you employ the concept of being an observer, one thing that I've integrated and that I like to do is when we take our daily walks, whether I'm alone or I'm with my family, is even if we're taking the same route, try to find something different on that route. Find and just make a game of it so you see in a different way, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's the same route, like strangest mailbox, or let's find a rock we've never seen on this walk, or bird watch while we're walking. And it's the same thing. We've touched on it a little bit, but we eat the same things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you eat the same things, but you continue to enjoy that experience? You can take a cooking class and learn to cook it better. You can cook it slower. You can roast your potatoes instead of mashing your potatoes. But those things matter.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, no one is arguing that routine isn't necessary to accomplish a goal because it makes it that much easier. But it's like everyone thinks you have to make these wholesale life changes. Like if I don't go from the couch to working out 5 days a week, you're somehow failing. Hell, even adding in one day of movement, that's a victory. If you are sitting on the couch and you add in a 10-minute walk a day, I mean, you should pat yourself on the back. Yeah, you should be looking to add, of course, but it is small victories throughout our day that we just kind of glance over because we're just looking at the big picture and our larger goals that, whatever is we're striving for. Like, again, I go back to my cut. It's a week away and I don't know what that week holds. Like, my body's been kind of doing what I thought it was going to do in the beginning. And so now it's just that, again, it doesn't negate the past 3.5 months. It just simply is part of the process. And I'm just trying to embrace it all.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's okay, before we get into we'll talk a bit about your cut, just to kind of tie into some of the things that we've talked about here. Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, it was a game changer. I'm so structured with my meals, and I love all the meals that I eat. And you encourage me to cook my rice in bone broth or any kind of broth instead of just water. Holy smokes. I mean, something so simple, hardly adds any calories at all to the meal, but the flavor is just freaking awesome. And then taking the cooking class that we did with Wallace, Six Pack Chef.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Six Pack
yeah.
Chef.
So we made a broth when we're doing that Spanish omelet there, and he said you can hold on to that broth and store whatever you cook the potatoes in there, that broth, you have that. So then I started cooking my rice in that. It's just so many different little things to just add to the experience and to add to your meals, just to continue to grow and to improve. So that was right on point with what you're saying there. And just one thing from my experience this past week in regards to the importance of being in the moment and not thinking ahead is I woke up a little tired one of the mornings and a little bit achy, and thought to myself, you know what, this is going to be one of those days where I'm just going to have to go nice and light and easy in the gym. I'm not going to push it. Just get through it more than anything, kind of go through the motions. By the time I got to the workout, I was firing on all cylinders, and that workout, like I owned it. Like, I felt good to push it, to test my limits, and really gave the best of myself. Even if I did go lighter, I would have been giving the best of myself to the workout, but it was way better than my expectations would have been in the morning. So it's very easy to get out of bed and think to yourself, oh man, I'm tired. I'm going to have to take it easy the rest of the day here and lower the weights and not leave a couple reps in reserve, but you don't know how things are going to be a couple hours from now, a few hours from now. So yeah, it's just really important to just moment by moment, focus on the process. What do I got to do right now to get me closer to my goal? After you've done that, what do I got to do right now to get me closer to my goal? And just focus on giving your best to each of those moments, not looking too far ahead. So those have been some of my experiences from this past week.
Yeah, or I was just going to add to that. So my therapist, I'm on to her tricks now, but one of the practices she has me do is grading my day. And so a lot of the times I take my sessions at the end of the day, and she's like, she's just casually asking me about my day, things that have happened good, things that have happened bad, things that I would change, but how I would grade the day overall. And in this one particular session, it wasn't that great of a day. Like, several things popped up that had frustrated me, that I had to move around. And yet when I graded my day, it was above average. And so she stopped me and she said, "Oh, that's funny. So all of this negative stuff, things that you would define as negative, popped up in your day, yet you're sitting here telling me when you put an average on your day, it ended up positive." She's like, "Isn't that funny how that works out?" And it's just the truth of it, because again, to hammer the point home, life is never going to stop happening. I mean, I don't want it to anytime soon, because I feel like I have much more to give and much more to learn and many more things. I guarantee you the next time we get to Europe, I'm not going to skip out on pastries or pasta.
Right.
So it's taking it moment by moment, right? And
Yep.
just because something we wake up, maybe didn't have the best sleep, doesn't matter. It doesn't determine the day. Maybe it does, but doesn't have to.
Right. And one example from you last week, this past week going through is you woke up feeling tired as well. You ended up having a great experience with you've been making chocolate, and
Yeah.
turned out to be, that'll be something we'll dive into more in future podcasts. But yeah, Aaron is venturing into the chocolate making business. I am super, super stoked for that. Chocolate and coffee, two of our like favorite loves in life for sure. Very exciting.
Yeah, let's just say I'm having to fit those into my macros, but I'm not avoiding them.
That's it. All right, brother, let's talk about this past week. Dude, your hunger has been real. It's something that we have been talking about for the past 2 weeks. Um, just tell us a little bit more about your experiences, what's been going on with you here.
Yeah, I hope this isn't, I know this is a family friendly program, but I have been having threesomes with my wife and my hunger and myself because it's now a staple in my relationship over this past few weeks. And I've tried to embrace it, and I have good moments and bad moments, but I have had to break out. It's like I'm so close to hitting this arbitrary date that's not arbitrary, that I just need to see it to the end. But I'm having to break out the tips and tricks with, um, you know, filling myself up with volume eating is
Right.
what I'm trying to say. And it's real, but on the flip side, I have really focused and learned like what is like, yeah, I'm hungry. Like I'm going to bed hungry. It's not simply I'm like wanting to eat foods that normally I don't care about. And I'm not even excluding foods.
Mhm.
So I'm eating the things I want to. I enjoy all of my meals. There isn't a meal that during my day that I eat that I don't enjoy. But I can just I go to bed hungry. I go to bed a little
Mhm.
bit hungry and been waking up in the middle of the night and like my stomach is like full on. I could get up 3 in the morning and slam on a meal. Like I'm hungry. And so it's not just it. The mental is trying to control, trying to say, all right, it's going to pass, okay, it's not the greatest thing. Drink the sparkling water or whatever, add some more veggies. But so it's the mental more, but it's also the physical, like the actual physical. My stomach's like, dude, brother, you're hungry. Like
Right.
I'm not joking around here. You're not bored.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's what you're experiencing here. Like before, if we go back to the podcast a few weeks ago, I'd say the hunger you were experiencing was more along the lines, just the stress you were dealing with at the time. You weren't getting as good a sleep at the time. I thought it was more of that than it was how lean you are or how long the cutting phase has been. It's been like 3.5 months here. You are really freaking lean. And what you're experiencing right now is very similar to what I see happen with a lot of competitive bodybuilders. I never experienced it myself when I've competed. But yeah, getting down to that very end, you can't trust like what I always encourage a lot of clients, the majority of the clients out there, is to kind of improve your intuition skills, listen to your
Yeah.
body. It's giving you all these different cues. At this stage of the game, when you're this lean, you really can't trust your mind at this point, if you want to get leaner, because your body and everything, your mind, it's saying like it wants you to eat right now. It doesn't want you to be quite this lean at this time. So yeah, you're getting all of those hardcore feelings and signals, and you have to resist those if you want to see this through to the end. It takes a lot of mental capacity, and it's not like you're being aggressive with your diet. You're at 2,200 calories, so
No.
you're 5'8", 155 to 160 pounds. Like it's 2,200 calories is not aggressive, so it's not like, oh my
No.
god, you really need to bump it up. And 3.5 months of dieting isn't an extended, it's not like really long. We're like, oh my god, it's so long.
I'll argue with you with that. It is long.
Yeah, I never want to do it again. So it's 4 weeks is long enough for me at this point. Yeah, but it's not like some other people I see who are dieting for 6 months to a year in order to prepare for a show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's long enough. I hear you there. I'll give that to you.
It is, especially when, every Wednesday and generally every Saturday, it's especially with the family, it's like easier during the week because it's more structure. The kids are in school, my wife is working, it's a little bit easier. But when come Wednesdays, it's like, hey, let's go do this, and Saturday mornings it's like, let's go to this amazing award-winning bakery. I don't want to have half a croissant. I just don't. Right. Some people would and be happy with that. I'm not them. Mm-hmm. and so it does stress me a little bit more. It is more difficult, but I mean, 2,200 calories isn't too low. It's low for me. And I understand, for other people that may be super high, and I right. get that. So I try not to complain about it, but the hunger is real. It is real. Yeah. It isn't something that it's just, I can tell, but it's been a good practice, even though right now I'm just dude, it's just a week from tomorrow, brother, a week from tomorrow. Come on.
Yeah.
But my body right now is, I'm hungry. I'm just hungry.
Yeah. That's right. There's as a coach here, I mean, I don't like seeing clients. It's one thing if you're going to be on stage and you had that goal and everything. Yeah, I'd want you to push through this. But there's moments where I'm like, yeah, I could easily say, dude, just don't put yourself through this. Yeah. You don't. Why are you doing this? Yeah. Why are you doing this here? You don't need to do it. But at the same time, I know that if we were to end it, it'd always be in the back of your mind, like, what if I pushed it right to that vacation? What if I just gave it that extra little bit? And I don't want that. I want you leaving it all on the table right now. Get it done, give it your best effort, and then we move on from there. So yeah, I'm looking at the big picture, and I know how you operate and everything. And yeah, I don't want any doubts creeping in your mind afterwards. I just want you to get this done. You're giving your best effort to it, so you're kicking butt.
You sent me a video the other day, and it was funny. It was very endearing because you it seemed like you were having to fight your natural inclination to just be like, dude, just why? Just bump up calories. Let's just be done with it. And it's funny because we've both done, gone back and forth with that. And if we could jump back a few steps, and the beautiful thing about not looking to the future, and the example I gave with a week, the cut ending in a week, and what if I wake up, looking sloppy? Is it going to negate? I could wake up looking super incredible, and that shouldn't change. Oh, and now it made it worth it for me to have struggled over the past 3.5 months. I've just really, really tried to dig in deep and just focus on this process. Like just today, like that's it. And I'm not like looking to the next meal. I'm just trying to look to be in the moment that I'm in. And that's where I need to be.
And learning and growing along the way. And you have, like, each week you've learned and grown. How was this week's experience? So last week you decided to make the change. Wednesday, you were gonna relax a little bit and enjoy your day with your kids, meal wise, and then Saturdays movie night with the families. How did that all work out for you? Like, because you found that come Friday night, that's when you were having your binge because you were trying to be so restrictive from everything that was going on with your family around you. Did this make it a little bit easier on you
Yeah,
mentally?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It still was a little tough. Um, it's just I'm still trying to work through it because I think it's just the shift in schedule for the weekend versus not. And it's something that I hadn't mentioned to you, but I want to, and coming up with a strategy. I think I actually want to try banking a few more calories. And it doesn't have to, I know me, like I need to see it on paper
Right.
or in an app. I don't know why that makes me feel better. But I think that is something I'm going to experiment with. Not anything wild. I'm not talking about like jumping 1,500 calories on a Saturday night, but maybe in the like 300 to 500 range, to see how that shifts things. Because Saturday I did go over a little bit, but it was not, it was like very manageable. It was something like, I don't know, 250 calories, I estimated. So over the couple of days, you're talking about removing an egg or two and replacing it with egg whites versus having to like, well, you know, from Saturday night, now I can't eat till Tuesday. A little
Right.
bit different. So I think that is something that maybe right now would work better in my situation. So that's kind of what I learned over this past week with how our schedule's working out. And yeah, so I was gonna mention that to you, because I think that would be maybe something that's smart. And so I go into the week, not, it's not like something that's like, ugh, it's like this fight. It's just part of my week.
100%. That's the beauty of it, really trying to fit your diet to your lifestyle rather than fit your lifestyle to your diet. It just,
Yeah.
again, it's all about going with the flow kind of thing that we talk about, but planning for it, like knowing where the flow is going and being prepared for it. So going with it. Um, Very cool. Let's just finish off talking about. I mean, you and I keep reflect. There's moments throughout our week where we keep bringing up David Goggins. They're just little moments where, like, whether it's about leveling up our game or just an instance where I'm like, man, was I holding back? Should I push through a little bit harder right now? What have been some of the moments throughout your week where you kind of been he pops in your head there, and what's that experience been like?
Well, I mean, firsthand that I've continued this cut because David Goggins popped into my head. And it was like, I mean, two things happened simultaneously. One, we had this trip come up and it wasn't last minute, but we got it on the books and it was close enough to where I felt like, all right, you have more to give. I just had more to give. And I did hear Dave Goggins in my head saying, man, I mean, come on, Aaron, like, man up. And and just other moments, with things that aren't even physical, with things that are like mental. I'll have him like come into my head and be like, it's changed my perspective, and like doing chores and not like dreading those things and putting those things off because they have to get done, and setting appointments that I don't want to make. And after it, you're just like, I was dreading that because why? And so yeah, he's kind of is part of my psyche now, like my subconscious, where I hear him egging me on to really stop and think like why I immediately going to the it's going to be annoying or I shouldn't do this. And hey, I haven't broken myself yet, so I'm probably going to continue on with his line of thinking.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Testing your limits. I freaking love it. All right, dude. I think we'll wrap it up there. When we get together next week, it'll be your last day at the cut, getting ready for your trip there. So I'm excited to see how things finish up for you in this home stretch here. You're absolutely kicking butt. Super proud of you. Love sharing this journey and this experience with you. I learned from you just as much as you're learning from me. So it's been a pleasure, my brother.
Yeah, it's great talking with you as always.
All right, gang. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Jacked After 40 podcast. If you did, please do us a favor and smash that thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate it. We'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below as well. Share your thoughts, share your insights, share your feedback and experiences. We'd love to hear from you. And if you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's podcast, listening to today's podcast, do them a favor and share it with them before you go. Don't forget to download your free guide, Jacked After 40. Have yourself an amazing day. We'll catch you in the next podcast.